what is Bolt? Bolt is a SaaS that builds your apps with actual code based on your prompts. So what is Bolt? Bolt utilizes proprietary web containers to build your entire project on the web. This means like combining ChatGPT and an IDE and a web browser all together in one tab. You don't need to install any dependencies, you don't need to download anything. You have everything right there, from your app to your code to your prompt input. By default, Bolt takes prompts through Claude 3.5 Sonnet, but GPT-4 is another very popular option. Also, if you ask me personally, I would prefer using Claude for anything code related compared to ChatGPT. Actually, I remember trying to set up a server a month ago with Nginx, and I remember ChatGPT kept giving me more and more confusing answers, not tracking context, etc. And I spent 2 hours on ChatGPT, not going anywhere, while with Claude, I was done in like 15 minutes for the same task. But anyway, Bolt generates code that aligns with your prompt based on the applications that people before you built through that prompt. And that's for LLMs in general. So let's make this more clear with an example. If everyone who wants to build an app wants the login button to be at the top right, as it's usual. So every time they ask the LLM to add the login button at the top right. Then when you go and tell the LLM to build you an app, even if you don't tell it anything about the login button, it will add it at the top right because everyone else before you wanted it that way. And Bolt works with any web-based language you want. It can work with React, with Vue, with Angular, with Node.js. It doesn't work with languages like Python and Java. I used to be a huge Python developer when I first started. So I think a lot of people who start coding like Python because it's so simple. But now I like structure more and more. So the most important part of coding with Bolt. So the most important part is effective communication. Yeah. Now I know this is not the sexiest part of coding, but when working with LLM for anything, clear communication and effective communication are super important. So how do we communicate effectively with the LLM? First of all, we need clear communication, which is deterministic and visualizable. So what does deterministic mean? Deterministic means that what you say can only have one outcome, one possible meaning. If I say I want a login button, yeah, it tends to put it on the top right, but you can mean on the top left, you may want it on the center, you might want it blue or red or with shadows, or you want to say sign in instead of login. So there are a lot of different outcomes you could have. And what is visualizable? Visualizable is something that when you say to me, I can see it in my head. So, for example, a buy now flow. I don't understand what a buy now flow is. I don't think anyone can picture it on their head. But if I think of a buy now button, I can picture that. And I can picture a new screen. And I can picture a list of my cart items in the new screen. And I can picture the credit card details. So this is what visualizable means. Next up, small prompts over big prompts. So again, you could ask for Bolt or the LLM in general to create a buy now flow for you. Now, there is a very slight chance that you will actually get what you want, but most likely you won't. So in this buy now flow example, you would first say the first prompt would be to build a buy now button. The next prompt would be to create a new page. The next prompt would be to list your items. The next prompt would be to add the credit card details. And the final prompt would be to add the final button with the price of the items.